Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast, brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVRealtor.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Hey, baby, how you doing over there?
Hey.
You excited for the big Super Bowl this weekend?
I didn't even know it was this weekend. Remember that from yesterday?
Yeah, we talked about that. Well, it's coming up, whether you're a big fan or not. We're not big football fans, but one of the reasons that I want to bring that up is there are a lot of people talking about concussions in the NFL, and I have an expert, a foremost expert on concussions, and he actually has some scientific proof that something that you can do if you get a concussion is take fish oil, which sounds bizarre. He's going to tell me why that works, but we've got a doctor on the program later today to tell us all about it.
There's an awful lot of people that are pushing that fish oil.
Well,
I
you know
don't
what?
think it can possibly.
All
these people are probably invested in fish oil somehow.
No, you know what? I've actually had fish oil. I remember I worked for a place where they encouraged me to take fish oil, and when I did, my fish never squeaked once. So it was.
So stupid.
Such a setup for me to drop the bomb like that. Hey, in other news, Marvel Comics is going to be selling superhero-themed bedding in adult sizes. So like king-size bedding and queen-size.
That's fantastic.
Because apparently there's a lot of people out there that are big fans of Marvel Comics, and they want these. And I'm only assuming that many of these men are single. I'm just guessing. Because
actually, my cousin BJ and his wife probably would
get
Batman.
But if I came home and I said, hey, look what I got some Superman sheets, you'd be like, yeah, that's awesome. You can take those when you move. All right. Coming up, we got some special stuff to talk about. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get razors for $1 a month plus a few bucks shipping, so you can enjoy fresh razors every month for as little as $3. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Friday, February the 5th. It's kind of fun to say, Friday, February 5th. It is Move Hollywood and Broadway to Lebanon, PA Day.
What?
Okay. It's also Adlai Stevenson Day. Shower with a Friend Day. Hey, what are you doing later? Weather Person's Day. Wait a minute. Why would Weather Person's Day be this time of year? They're never, ever right this time of year.
Well, maybe they need a little pick-me-up.
Okay, there you go. Well, send your favorite weatherman or weatherwoman, weather person, send them a smile today or something. Western Monarch Day today, World Nutella Day. Just not too long ago it was National Nutella Day, but now it's World Nutella Day.
I like that stuff.
It is good stuff. National Doodle Day. It's Bubblegum Day, Cordova Iceworm Day, Give Kids a Smile Day, Wear Red Day, and Work Naked Day. And since
what's a Cordova iceworm?
I have no clue, but it's got its own day. And today's Work Naked Day, so we're on the radio. Are we naked?
Maybe.
We're not. I just wanted you to think that at least. All right, get out there and celebrate one way or another and have some fun on this Friday, the 5th day of February.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. College entrance exams. I stumbled through that. Remember the days of taking the SATs and the ACTs, other standardized college entrance examinations? Those days actually could be over, Heidi.
Really?
I can barely even read this sentence. I don't think
I
would fare well.
I did. Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, I scored 2,408.
You did
I don't know. I don't remember what it was. If you were bad at your test taking, it could make the difference upon being accepted into your desired school for higher education. Now, several schools across the country are providing an alternative to standardized testing, and it involves the use of Legos.
What?
The Lego test puts an emphasis on hard-to-measure characteristics. On the less standardized, less of this emphasis goes on the standardized testing. A group of 8 to 10 students are given a box of Lego pieces, and they're told that they have 10 minutes to build a robot exactly like the one sitting on the table in an adjacent room. Each group member is allowed to look at the robot one time without taking any notes. Evaluators then grade members of the group as they snap together their versions of the robot.
How much time do they get?
They get 10 minutes. That's why it says they have 10 minutes to build a robot. And it's they walk in, they look at a robot in a different room, and they have to remember, what does this robot look like? Then they have to go back with Legos, snap it together, and see how close they get.
As my brother would tell you, I was not very good at building stuff like the pictures.
Yeah.
But I would definitely get an A for creativity because my stuff was awesome.
Yeah, I remember hearing some stories about some of the things you built with Legos. He would make this awesome thing on the box, and you'd take all the scraps and build some junky thing next to it, and then you wanted to crash into his stuff and break it up. I heard the stories. Imagine that. Heidi, at a young age, was also causing problems? No way. Say it isn't so. Anyway, if you don't like the ACTs and the SATs, you may be taking the Lego test, and you know it's true because you heard it on the radio.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again?
844-204-1055.
And this is your brain on drugs. A convicted robber thought that he could fool his probation officer by submitting somebody else's urine for a court-ordered drug test. That's a good idea, right? I can just bring in somebody else's urine. Well, the test showed that this burly, hairy-chested guy was drug-free. But they also let him know that,
He's
by
pregnant.
the way, you're pregnant. So they tested him again. This time he was not pregnant, but
He was also not drug-free.
He was stoned on cocaine. Now he gets to sit in jail for a year. So they should have given him 9 months just to make it even funnier.
I thought you were going to say they caught him because it tasted different.
What? That is disgusting. No, the second time he was drug-free, but he got a year in jail. And again, if I were the judge in that case, I would have given him 9 months because he was pregnant after all. So that would have been funny. Coming up, we're going to talk about dirt. And what kind of dirt would you be if you were dirt?
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
We don't talk about dirt very much, do we?
Not near enough.
It doesn't come up. But in May of last year, the New Jersey Assembly voted 75-0 to name an official state dirt.
That's ridiculous.
Downer soil is a mixture of grayish-brown and sandy dirt that absorbs water well, and the sponsors of the bill say that it will help promote the Garden State agriculturally by making people talk about the farm dirt in the state that is mostly thought of as urban. Critics call it borderline ludicrous. Really? Borderline? No, it's just plain old ludicrous. And they asked if the assembly didn't have more pressing issues to address than naming a state dirt. So there you go. And
well,
Heidi,
that's a good thing if you're living in a state where they have nothing worse.
Yeah, they do. It's New
worry
Jersey.
about.
They have a lot of things that are going on. They're just saying, we can't fix any of those, so can we at least name a state dirt? And Heidi, if you were a dirt, what kind of dirt would you be? Any particular
I don't
kind?
know different names of dirt.
Nor do I. I was kind of hoping you knew some, but whatever she is, I'll be with her because we're going to stick together. Coming up, we've got your scoop of the day.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. A Lake County, Florida man is in the hospital after an alligator bit him while he was doing yard work. That doesn't sound good. William Betchard says he was pulling weeds about a foot away from some water, and a 7'7" alligator jumped up and chomped down on his arm.
Jeepers.
I think I would have let those weeds just grow. Beijing customs officials seized nearly 1,000 live ants being shipped in test tubes from Germany. Authorities believe the ants were intended to be sold as pets in China. Yeah, German ants being sent in test tubes as pets in China. They said, no, you can't take those here. Japanese electronics maker NEC. You've seen them on all kinds of stuff like telephones and what else they have, like computer. What are the things called?
I don't know. I'll have to take your
all
word
kinds of
for
gadgets.
it.
NEC. They unveiled a new unique input mechanism that allows you to type on your arm. So pull up your sleeve, Heidi. See this? You type on your forearm. And the system is called ARM Keypad, ARM Keypad.
Wow.
It combines a set of glasses to visualize the virtual keyboard on your watch, and it hooks to a smartwatch to detect how fast you type. NEC thinks this device could be used in a wide range of working environments, including healthcare, manufacturing, document management, even security. So this is their new thing they're working on, a keyboard that you see through special glasses on your arm, but it's not really there. Interesting. A recent report shows that America will have a shortage of doctors by 2025. They're going to be looking for 52,000 doctors. So if you know somebody that wants to be a doctor in America, they have till 2025 to get ready.
We never had a shortage of doctors before a certain program was implemented.
No.
But
Well, I don't know. I think maybe we did. I have no clue. Hey, a restaurant in New York City is offering its customers the experience of eating in total silence. Nobody is allowed to talk.
That would be awful.
This would be the greatest place for us to go, because when we're sitting down eating, it was like we got nothing to say anyway. So.
That would be awful, though, if there was no noise.
I know, that'd be
because all you can hear is people chewing. Hopefully there's music playing or
I don't
something.
know. It doesn't say.
That
It just
would be
says
awful.
Total silence. No talking is allowed. So how do you order? You just point to stuff on the menu and nod?
You type it on your imaginary keyboard.
The Geneva, Switzerland Ethics Committee on Non-Human Gene Technology has issued a report on the dignity of the creature in the plant world. They declared plants deserve respect, and killing them arbitrarily, for instance, decapitating them without a reason, so like popping off a head of a flower, is morally wrong. However, they didn't object to genetic engineering of plants, since that didn't interfere with their autonomy or their ability to reproduce. They ruled that certain cruel acts like killing plants are okay, such as using plants to save human life, or even the simple pleasure of picking the petals off a daisy. That could suffice as a reason for being able to do that. How about these people? How do they mow their lawns? Do you guys?
Maybe they don't.
Do you not mow your lawn? Do you? You don't cut flowers.
Letitia Adams would be in all kinds of trouble.
She cut the heads off all of her flowers. Hey, let's move on with one other thing here. Scientists now tell us that your body literally glows. It emits a visible light in extremely small quantities at levels that rise and fall with the day. Past research has shown that the body emits visible light 1,000 times less intense than the levels to which our naked eyes are sensitive to. In fact, virtually all living creatures emit very weak light, in which they thought to be a byproduct of biochemical reactions involving free radicals. So they say that you have like this little glow around you, you just can't see it. I have met people who claim they can see that. They say, I can see an aura around people, and he's got a blue aura, and she has a red aura. So I wonder if that's the same thing. You think?
I don't know.
You're looking at me like I'm nuts over
Those
here.
people are loony.
No, they're not. They have a gift that you don't have, Heidi. That's all. Don't be jealous. Knocking them down doesn't make you any bigger. All right, let's wrap things up with our strange law, because it's time to do that. In Minnesota, a person may not cross state lines with a duck on top of their head.
That makes sense.
Then why would you want to do that?
I don't know.
All right, that is a strange law. And this has been your Scoop of the Day.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RoughToughKennels.com. Dog kennels and accessories sent to your front door wherever you live. Your dog deserves it. Learn more at RoughToughKennels.com.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. We've got a big football game coming up this Sunday. It's one that I can't even illegally say the name of it on the radio because they're worried about that kind of thing. But one of the things that's going on right now in the National Football League is there are people that are talking a lot about concussions. And it's a really big deal. And we've got a doctor joining us right now, and we're going to be visiting with Dr. Michael Lewis about when helmets collide. Dr. Lewis, how are you today?
I'm doing great, John. How are you?
Very, very good. Now, these guys, when they strap on those helmets and they put on the pads and they get out on the field, they work their tails off. And very many times people get hurt, whether it's something that you see during the game or if it's something that maybe lingers later on and you don't necessarily notice it. But we're hearing more and more about concussions. Why is it that this is becoming such a big deal all of a sudden? We hadn't heard about this for years.
Well, concussions have been around as long as mankind, and so not anything's really changed. I have some theories why we're hearing about it a little bit more, but certainly it's a good thing. The awareness is becoming better. NFL's taken the brunt of it because they're the most visible. But my bigger concern is we got 44 million kids playing organized sports every year.
Yeah.
And roughly, we, as best as we know, because we don't know if somebody gets a concussion and doesn't go to the emergency room, our guess is maybe around 1 million kids every year are getting concussions, and some of them are going in for treatment and some of them aren't. So my concern is, what are we setting those kids up for? We talk about return to play, but what about school and academics? That's a much bigger concern for me.
Now, I'm sure everybody's heard the word concussion before, but in simple terms, what does that even mean? What is a concussion?
Well, the best most simplest way to explain it is a concussion is a bruising of the brain. It's even if you're wearing a helmet, that brain is still banging up against the inside of the skull, and that can cause bruising. So, and it's not just obviously football. You're up in hockey territory, so hockey's a big issue. Soccer, taking an elbow to the head, playing basketball, falling backwards on a volleyball court, or skiing. Certainly there's plenty of high-profile concussions and even deaths from no ski accident.
Now, what are the short-term and long-term consequences if you get a concussion, whether it's during sports or even just maybe slipping on the ice and falling?
Well, the immediate thing is if you have any symptoms, you need to seek a medical care right away, whether it's an emergency room or just some adequate medical care. But obviously, the obvious one is if you get knocked unconscious, that's certainly a major concern. If you're having amnesia, obviously a major concern. But the more subtle things immediately are if you're dizzy, you're just a lot of brain fog, you're just not thinking clearly, or of course if it's somebody not yourself, but you can look at somebody's eyes and they just don't seem like they're altogether there. That's a big concern. And but again, with 44 million kids and all the profile of what we see with concussions, sometimes those things don't happen right away. You've got the initial injury, but you have these longer-term things that are much more of a concern, what we call the secondary injury. And that's when, sometimes 2 weeks later or, a couple days later, you seem like you were fine for a couple of days, and all of a sudden you start to have dizziness or headaches or difficulty sleeping. And those things can pop up days or even weeks later because that secondary injury is these inflammation, these biochemical cascades that just start burning. And if you don't extinguish the flame, for example, it's going to continue to be a problem or cause bigger problems down the line.
Again, visiting today with Dr. Michael D. Lewis, and he's a renowned expert on brain health, and we're talking today about concussions. Now, you've had some great success using fish oil to assist in the recovery of victims with traumatic brain injury. That sounds really interesting to me. I would have never thought to do that, but tell us about some of your successes that have been written up in the media and medical journals.
Well, the biggest, most high-profile success that I had was a severe car accident a couple of years ago. And a 17, 18-year-old high school senior was, had a very bad brain injury, wasn't expected to survive. And the parents approached me and asked me, I think that fish oil might help the kid's brain recover, because it was an area that I was working in research for the Army. I was active duty for 31 years. And I talked to the neurosurgeon, and we tried it. We tried really high doses, and the short of the story is that the kid went to his high school graduation 3 months later, is now a full-time college student. That got written up in the scientific literature. Sanjay Gupta show picked it up on CNN. So that's sort of the extreme case. But on the more usual cases, I started when I retired from the military. I started brainhealtheducation.org, Brain Health Education, to continue to get the word out about why omega-3s and fish oil, which make up the brain, it's what the brain's made of. And my idea was, let's take that substance the brain's made of, this nutritional substance that we find in fish and fish oil, and if we use it in optimal doses, it can help the brain heal.
That's crazy, and I never would have thought of that. I'm glad that you did think of that. Now, is there a specific type of fish oil that's best? I know you're talking about omega-3s. Is there a certain kind when you're looking for that, or are they all kind of the same?
Well, that's a really good question. One of the issues in the industry is that there's not a whole lot of regulation. And so there's a lot of products that are just okay or maybe not even okay. But there's very few, actually, that I've found that are really high quality. Like Nordic Naturals is one that's really set the industry standard. And so you can't just look at a bottle and understand that this is a good product or not a good product. So it gets a little bit tough out there. But even more importantly to me is the dose. And so on my website, I put up one for severe traumatic brain injury. So if somebody's in a coma, what what the doses are that you would use. But also I put out I just call it the Omega Protocol, that if you're walking, talking, want to swallow a capsule or the liquid equivalent, and I lay out the doses that anybody can download for free and just trying to get the word out, try to heal people one at a time.
Now, should we be consuming fish oil all the time? Is this something that can help? Like, if I take this ahead of time, is it going to help me prevent? Or is this more of a thing that once you've actually had the concussion or you've had the head impact that you need to do it afterwards? How does that work?
Actually, both. So one of the things that I really look at is our bodies were meant to be in balance. And we've become out of balance with our diets, the American diet, and even the American food supply. Even if you try to eat as good as possible, you're still not necessarily going to be in balance. There's the pro-inflammatory omega-6s, and there's the anti-inflammatory countering the omega-6s, the anti-inflammatory omega-3s, and they were meant to be in balance, and we're way out of balance just by nature of the food supply. So Julian Bales, who's played by Alec Baldwin in the movie Concussion, he and I published a manuscript, scientific manuscript, that basically soldiers and athletes, people that are at risk of a head concussion, should be taking fish oil supplements on a daily basis, and it may improve the resilience of the brain to withstand injury in the first place, and have them already on board in case an injury does occur, because, again, you need that balance. You need the inflammatory response to the bruising, but you need to extinguish that flame. You need the anti-inflammatory balance to that. So it becomes really important.
And you just mentioned the movie Concussion, starring Will Smith and Alec Baldwin, and several of the people that are in that movie are people you know. Now, are we going to learn quite a bit? And when we go to this, are they going to be talking about fish oil at all, or what kind of things will we learn while we watch that movie?
Well, they don't talk about fish oil at all, but a couple of the characters in the movie, particularly the one Alec Baldwin plays, is a guy named Dr. Julian Bales, who's the head of neurosurgery at West Virginia University, and he's actually the one that threw this into my mind in the first place. And he took care of the Sago mine accident survivor, if you remember, back in January 2006. And severe carbon monoxide poisoning, the one guy they pulled out of the coal mine that was still alive, and they used really high doses of fish oil, and that's one of the reasons why he was able to continue to survive and is a normal life today. I took that knowledge and said, would that work for a traumatic brain injury? And led to the case of the teenager I just told you about, and it works great.
Well, if somebody listening maybe would like to learn more about the omega-3 protocol for brain injury, where do I go to get this information? I know, like I said, we've got the movie Concussion coming out. That's going to get some people thinking about it. Got a big game coming up this Sunday that people are going to be watching, and as they're cracking their helmets together, we're going to be thinking about it. Where do we go to get the information?
Well, the best place to go is when I retired from the military, I started Brain Health Education and Research Institute, and our website is www.brainhealtheducation.org, brainhealtheducation.org. And I have a lot of basic information up there, about what a concussion is, but also what you can do about it. And the big lesson that I try to impart to people is, most concussion care is basically, yes, you've had a concussion, go sit in a dark room and don't do anything for 2 weeks. And I don't believe that. I think that there's more we can do, and I start with a good nutritional foundation.
Well, we're excited to have a chance to chat with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to visit with us here, Dr. Lewis.
All right, John, my pleasure. I'd love to talk to you sometime again soon.
That sounds great. Again, folks, if you'd like to know more, I'm going to give you that website one more time. It's brainhealtheducation.org. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday.
This portion of the program is brought to you by carsforsale.com. If you're in the market to buy a car, truck, or van, find thousands of vehicles to choose from at carsforsale.com.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
A man in Graz, Australia, who claimed he was Superman and claimed he could fly was hospitalized. Guess why?
He fell off a roof?
He jumped from a fourth-floor window. Found out he wasn't Superman. How did that get in my fun facts?
I don't know, but that is fun.
That is a fun fact. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
This is like fun fact number 791, I think it is. Wisconsin has the highest number of cases of sunburn of any state in the U.S. of A. I would have never guessed that.
No.
Of all the states, Wisconsin has the highest, and I think it's because you're in Wisconsin, you're going, well, it's not going to be that bright. I don't need any sunscreen. Turns out they're wrong. All right, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
And I don't think this is going to be fun for you. Facebook has prohibited users from coordinating person-to-person private sales of firearms. They've also banned private sales on their photo-sharing network, Instagram. I know I'm a part of a group that I bet that group is gone now because it was a gun swap group where you could buy and sell and trade guns on
Really?
Facebook.
Why didn't you tell me about that group?
Because I know you'd buy and sell and trade guns. You're expensive enough. All right, that's going to do it for our fun facts. Thanks for listening. We've got 15 things your mail carrier won't tell you. That's coming up. It's interesting.
This portion of the program is brought to you by StoneGroupArchitects.com. It's more than a building. It's design and function working together. Check out the project portfolio at StoneGroupArchitects.com.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. I've got to, first of all, say my sister is a letter carrier now, and I've got several members of my family who have been letter carriers in the past. I even had a grandfather that was a postmaster. So we've got this here, 15 things your mail carrier won't tell you. Number 1 says, maybe your dog won't bite you, but did you know there are about 9 dog bites on mail carriers every day? Every day. About 9 mail carriers get bit by dogs. Something else to know.
When you consider how many of them there are all across
every
the
day?
country.
Yeah, that's still a lot.
No, it's not.
It is too. Remember this on Valentine's Day, folks. It takes their machines longer to read anything on a red envelope. So if you're mailing something, mail it in white. And if it's a red envelope and it's written in colored ink, the machines don't even work. So then you have to pull it out and hope that it goes to the right place. Number 3 on the list here is they say use the website, USPS.com, because they say on there you can buy stamps, you can place a hold on your mail, you can change your address, you can apply for passports, all of that without standing in a line. So they're saying you should do that. Number 4, media mail is a bargain, but most people don't know it, and they never ask for it. So if you're going to be sending something, check into media mail. I don't know what that is. But
media mail, it's if you're sending books or anything that's media.
Well, it says here, most of us love our jobs. This is, again, from the mail carriers, and we serve people. This guy says, I met my wife and my best friend because I was their letter carrier. Another thing about post office here, this says, we go to great lengths to deliver to every address, no matter how remote. In a bunch of rural areas, UPS and FedEx don't go there. What they do instead is they take it so far, and then the post office takes it the very end of it. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. Number 7, those plants around your mailbox, they're beautiful, but you got to keep them trimmed back. Otherwise, it can cause problems. Number 8, when you say, hey, is it hot enough for you? Well, you're like the 50th person to say that today. Instead, why don't you say, hey, would you like a cold drink? That's a good idea. Number 9, despite the neither snow nor rain nor gloom of night, whatever the motto is, they're instructed not to deliver to a mailbox if the snow and ice around it hasn't been cleared. Most people take the motto to heart, though, and there are mail carriers all the time. They get hurt trying to do that. Even though they're instructed not to, they get hurt trying to get your mail. So if you happen to have snow and ice and all that, get it away from your mailbox. Number 10, people leave a letter in their mailbox with a bunch of money taped to it, and you're not supposed to do that.
No, you can't.
So
you can't do that.
Instead of putting a stamp on, people
Right,
go, I'm going to just mail a bunch of pennies on there. If you do that, they have to go and stand in line and get the stamp, so don't do it. Next, one day while delivering to a woman who was sick. I don't have time for that one. Let me see what else you have here. I think that's going to probably do it. I'm just looking through all these. Park your car in your driveway instead of in front of your mailbox. Anyway, there was a bunch of others too, but I think I got the big ones. There are a bunch of things from your mail carrier, things your mail carrier won't tell you, but we're out of time. Coming up in a bit, we've got something else. Going to talk about what's happening at a laundromat in a little Welsh town. Bad stuff.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVWheelator.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
If I say something is in a Welsh town, where is that? What does a Welsh town mean?
Welsh, isn't that like Scotland?
I have no idea. Wales, maybe?
Wales?
All right.
No.
I don't know. A laundromat owner in a Welsh town, somewhere in a Welsh town, in Welshville, Welshland, I don't know. Anyway, he's afraid that youngsters are going to get hurt. We just proved just how smart we are on this Friday. He's really concerned, though. This guy owns a laundromat, and the youngsters have been coming in and playing this truth or dare, and you have to get in a dryer and see
that's
how
a
long you can stay.
bad
Schoolboys
idea.
are paying to see who can spin in the dryer the longest. 36-year-old Stuart Fetchy, he's the guy that owns this Welsh Town dryer laundromat place. He says once they're on for a few minutes, they become dangerously hot. Plus, they run on gas, so they produce deadly carbon monoxide. And he's telling the kids not to do it. And they think it's fun and they think it's funny. Well, don't do that, kids. Don't. I know you're probably not listening from the Welsh town that you are in, but
Doesn't matter where you're at. Don't do that. It's stupid.
I was going to say the same thing. Don't do that anywhere. Coming up, we got Zippity Doodah in the news. That's his name. I'm not even kidding. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by GunUp.com. If you're a gun lover, you'll be in heaven at GunUp.com. Built by experienced military veterans, shooting sports competitors, and publishing professionals. They have awesome stories and articles that are read by millions of gun enthusiasts. Check it out at GunUp.com.
How would you like to be named Zippity Doodah?
Not at all.
No, but a guy changed his name to that. Anthony Doodah was his birth name, but he changed it to Zippity. Now he is literally Zippity Doodah. You know why he did that?
Because of a Brian Regan joke.
No, he did that to promote charity for children in Tanzania. His real last name is Doodah, and Zippity comes... What are you laughing about?
I've never heard that last name.
Doodah, D-U-D-A. He said he's gotten jokes his whole life anyway, but his name echoes the title of the song Zippity Doodah, featured in the 1946 Disney film Song of the South. He reached out to Disney in advance and got permission to change his name, and he's doing this to promote this charity for children in Tanzania, and he's raising money by having a silly name. How does that raise money?
I don't know.
We're talking about it, but do we have to pay him a royalty now for talking about it? Do I have to send him a nickel or something? Well, Zippity Doodah. I'm not going to do that. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about bad luck, maybe, or fate, or coincidence. Interesting story about what happened at a liquor store. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. You can get razors sent to your door each month for just $1, plus a couple of bucks shipping. It's an amazing deal. Log on to dollarshaveclub.com/radio to learn more. That's dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Now, back to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
You know, sometimes, Heidi, I think that these stories are just too good to be true. And this story is just such a funny story. Call it fate, bad luck, coincidence, whatever you want to call it. But there was a guy robbing a liquor store. And while he pulled his gun out to rob the liquor store, a man next to him pulled his gun out to rob the same liquor store.
Oh, my gosh.
And the two robbers pointing the guns at each other and back to the guy at the counter, not knowing exactly what to do. They decided, standing there, he said, "Hey, you can't rob this store. I'm here to do that." Two robbers argued for a while, finally agreed, okay, we're going to split the proceeds. Let's work together. Let's get this money and get out of here. Well, unfortunately for them, guess who else was in the store?
Police officers.
Who also had a gun. Yeah. Surely
That's
there
awesome.
couldn't be a third man with a gun, right? Another guy robbing the place? No, the third man was an off-duty policeman moonlighting as a security officer. The security guard
amazing.
placed both of them under house arrest until his on-duty officers arrived. They were charged and convicted of attempted armed robbery.
Well, at least they knew how to work together.
Yeah.
You got to give them that.
I think it's kind of funny that what are the odds of that liquor store being robbed at the same time by two different people? You know, you
must be in a rough neighborhood if they had a full-time
say.
security guard.
Apparently it was. You know, I have never, ever been in a store when it was robbed. When I was a kid, I worked at a grocery store. It had been robbed before I worked there. And when I was working there, I always thought, boy, if they come in to rob me. This is back when we had quart bottles. Remember those big glass bottles? And we had those right by the front door. I always thought, I'm going to thump them in the head with a quart bottle.
You were just hoping.
I wasn't hoping to get robbed, but I was like, if I get robbed, I'm going to thump them in the head with a bottle. I am so glad we didn't get robbed because I'd probably be dead right now, most likely. So it's probably best to just, work with them and, move on and stay alive. Coming up, we've got some good news to share as we wrap things up on this Friday edition of the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-259-7646. They have hundreds of channels to choose from, with many packages to fit your viewing desires. Learn more at 1-800-259-7646.
We always try to wrap things up around here with some good news. And I think this is really kind of an interesting thing from ZME Science.
Hopefully it's better news than yesterday. Nobody died.
Nobody dies in this one, no. But this is really kind of an interesting thing. They have combined 14 world maps to bring the world we live in into perspective. The maps include the location of the world's population, the conflicts around the world, income levels, countries with safe tap water, and more. It's a really interesting look at how we compare to the rest of the globe. I'm going to click on this so you can see what I mean. So each color on this map, it's kind of hard to see on the radio. I'll hold it right up to the microphone. But it's very interesting. Each color represents 1 billion people.
All right.
So for some, that's just a tiny little area, like China. They're 1 billion people on their own. Or this little area right here, there's a tiny little area that's called India. There's 1 billion people there. Now, it takes all of North and South America, including Canada, United States, Mexico, and all of South America. And I see this other color over here is Australia. All of that to equal the same number of people.
That's crazy.
Doesn't that just put things into perspective? So, as you think, even if you live in an area where there's a lot of people around, you're going, oh, man, we're so crowded. Imagine what it would be like living in an area where they have that many people in a tiny little country. It's still a big country, but nothing compared to the space we have. I just thought it was really cool, and it made me very thankful that we have the space that we have, and we have the freedoms that we have, and we have all the good things that we have. And with this being an election year, make sure you get out. I'm not telling you who to vote for. You vote for who you want to vote for, but be informed. Make sure you do all of that stuff.
If you want to know who to vote for, you can call me.
Don't talk to Heidi. She'll tell you who to vote for, and that's not up to her. But make an informed decision. But I just think it's really cool to be thankful for all the things that we have, and I'm not going to take those things for granted. And I'm going to throw that map, and it's not political. There's nothing political about this map. It's just showing you how many people there are, and there's, like I said, all these different things on there, conflicts and income levels, and just an eye-opener. And again, I'm so thankful to be here. We won the genetic lottery by being born in this country. Thank you, God, for that. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Have a great weekend.
Time now for the bonus break, only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
And your bonus break is brought to you by The Little House on the Prairie. No, just kidding. That's my first story, though. We're going to talk about that. They're making a movie of that.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't even watch the show.
I did when I was a kid.
Oh, my gosh. It would come on after school, and for me, it was like, would I rather do this, or would I rather purposely put soap in my eyes? I hated
which
that
one did you
show.
do? Did you choose to do the soap or the?
I just turned off the TV and went about my business.
I kind of had a crush on Laura Ingalls Wilder back then. Remember the girl that played her? I was like, she's kind of a hottie. Hubba hubba. Okay. I was about the same age as her, so that it was a lot less creepy. Sounds creepy now as a 40-year-old. Like, that little girl is cute. Hubba hubba.
You always liked the redheads. That's
was
weird.
she a redhead?
Yeah,
I didn't know redhead. That. I guess I didn't remember that. Hey, anyway, this is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. You can go there, dollarshaveclub.com/radio. We already covered our first story, so we can skip right on to the second one. People are paying for...
That's all that first story was about is, hey, we're making a movie?
Yeah, there's a movie coming out.
Did it say who's going to play
No, it doesn't say anything. And I didn't. If it did, I wouldn't care. I guess I would care, but I'm not going to.
We're not going to go to it.
I'm not going to care enough to Google it. People are paying for these 3D models. Have you seen a 3D model of any kind? Like where they have a 3D printer that prints things? Have you seen any of those?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just saw one the other day at Best Buy. So we saw they were printing an elephant. Yeah,
I love elephants.
I know you love elephants. Well, there's a company in England that will do a 3D rendering of your ultrasound.
Ooh.
So it's called...
That's creepy.
It's an 8-inch baby boo scan. It's sculpted using ultrasound data, and it's converted into a 360-degree format before it's printed, and it looks kind of like a mask. It's hollow, but it'll print a baby for you.
I would not want that.
That is kind of creepy. Hey, wacky but true, police in Amsterdam mistakenly kicked in the door of a local opera singer. People heard somebody screaming, and they thought there was something wrong. He was practicing. He was in his office. He's in his own apartment. I'm singing something. And they kicked in his door. Everything okay in here? He's like, yeah, what's going on? Reports of some man screaming. I'm just singing.
That's awesome.
That reminds me of a story that I got to share. We were at the Bellagio in Vegas. This is like 10 years ago. Maybe not quite that long ago. But we're out there. And there was this song playing, It's Time to Say Goodbye. Remember that thing? And you said, I love this song. And I said, who sings this? And Heidi said, that's Pavarotti. So we were right before Christmas time. So I was like, I'm getting her Pavarotti for Christmas. So I go to the store trying to find this stupid song. I didn't know what it was called. All I knew was Pavarotti, some guy singing. So I go to the store and I listen and listen and listen, and as it turns out, I couldn't find that song. Later I found out it's because it wasn't Pavarotti. It was Andrea Bocelli. But I was listening to all these Pavarotti songs. They all sound the same to me. Now, I know what you're saying, people. It's because I'm an uncultured swine. You're right. I am. But I'm listening, and it's just some guy screaming. And I made a YouTube video. I'll have to share that. I think it's still on YouTube. I don't know if they banned it yet or not.
Well, why would they ban it? It's not naughty.
I don't know, but I get people all the time complaining about it.
Oh, wow.
I have people that complain about this video, but I made a video of Pavarotti singing in the shower.
I thought it was funny.
I did too. I can't even talk about it without laughing. So it said lost Pavarotti tape, and I made this tape and it made this video, and there's a picture of a guy singing in the shower, and it's got Pavarotti's head. I photoshopped his head on it, so it looks like he's singing in the shower. And I have people all the time that say, this isn't real.
Well, no.
Did you read the description, you moron? But I get emails all the time, and I haven't gotten any in a while. It's been a while since I've gotten any. That's why I wondered if it was still on there. People were like, this tape isn't even real. This is a joke. I'm like, exactly. It is a joke.
It's funny.
Duh. What did you think? All right, moving right along. 6 steps to financial independence. Number 1, Heidi, know your limits. You know how I find out what my limits are? When they decline the card, apparently I hit my limit. Number 2, stay away from debt. Number 3, budget. Number 4, stop caring what your friends think. Number 5, parents are not a personal bank. And the number 6 step to financial independence, the borrower is the slave to the lender. Don't forget this. If you forget that, then you'll become the slave to the lender. So there are 6 steps to financial independence. You ready for one last story?
Sure.
How should I pick it? Should I go eeny, meeny, miny, mo?
I don't care.
All right. How about we talk? Here's something that I've saved for a long time because I didn't know this. It says, is there a limit to how high birds can fly?
Well, you hear about birds getting like caught in jet engines and stuff, so...
Would you accept the sky's the limit? I didn't think so. Well, oxygen has to be plentiful enough for them to be able to breathe. Air can get too thin if they get too far. But having said that, there is a testimony of airline pilots that see birds that are up there a long way. Swans, for example, have been reported at 27,000 feet.
Whoa!
It's probably about the top. Then there's a vulture that hit a passenger plane at 37,000 feet. That was above the Ivory Coast. Now, they extrapolate from the mangled feathers because when it was done, they found out, that was a vulture, that the remains were a vulture. It says ornithologists. What is an ornithologist?
Have you ever seen a swan flying? I've never
no.
seen I guess I didn't even know they could fly. I thought they were like turkeys. I had no clue they could fly.
Yeah, apparently they can. Well,
I wonder why I've never seen one fly.
Have you ever seen?
I've never seen one in the sky.
Do you see a lot of swans sitting around?
Yeah.
Where?
At the duck parks and stuff. You always see swans.
I don't see.
But you don't
swans.
ever see them flying.
Maybe you
That's
do,
weird.
and you just don't know they're swans when they're flying. You're like, oh wow, he looks like a goose when he's flying, or he looks like a duck when he's flying, or he looks like something else.
That's interesting.
Maybe you just don't know what they look like in flight. Whatever an ornithologist is, they suspect that rather than actually flying that 37,000 feet above the Ivory Coast, that it got caught in a storm, was frozen solid, and delivered to that height by an updraft. Given the shrinking meal service on planes these days, maybe they could just, use those for leftovers, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. Now you know how high birds can fly. They've been seen at 37,000 feet.
That's crazy.
That one was dead. 27,000 feet alive. So now we know. Thanks for listening to our bonus break brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.